Once upon a time, the day after the hunter spoke, Idera Market was a different place. People came, but no one ate. The stalls were full of food, steaming and waiting, but the plates were all empty. It seemed that for the people of Idera, hunger was now easier to bear than fear. By noon, the elders arrived. They didn't come shouting or pointing fingers. They walked with a quiet, heavy presence that spoke louder than any accusation. When elders come quietly, it means the danger has already matured. They gathered and stood before Mama Yemi's stall. An old woman, her face a map of deep lines, stepped forward and asked gently, "Mama Yemi, where do you fetch your water?" Mama Yemi said nothing. She just stood there, her hands trembling slightly. Another elder added, his voice low and firm, "Food feeds the body, but water feeds the spirit." The entire market fell into a profound silence. You could hear a pin drop. The air was thick with unspoken questions. The elders then made a simple request. "Mama Yemi, lift your pot of soup." She stepped forward, her face pale, and gripped the handles of the large black pot. She pulled, her muscles straining, but it wouldn't move. It was as if it had grown roots into the earth. The elders gestured too for strong young men nearby. They came forward, confident, and tried to lift it together. They grunted, they heaved, but the pot stayed exactly where it was. It refused to budge. Then a strange thing happened. Though there was no fire beneath it, the soup inside began to bubble. Slowly at first, then more violently. The sweet, inviting aroma that once drew crowds began to change. It turned sour, then foul, a smell that made people gag and step back, covering their noses. A child in the crowd started to cry, pointing a small finger at the bubbling pot. "The pot is angry," he wailed. At that moment, something broke inside Mama Yemi. Her legs gave way and she fell to her knees on the dusty ground, her head bowed in defeat. She didn't confess everything. She didn't need to. The scene before them was confession. Enough. With tears streaming down her face, mixing with the dust on her cheeks, she whispered just 2 sentences. "I wanted to survive," she cried, her voice cracking. "I didn't know survival would turn into bondage." The elders looked down at her, not with anger, but with a deep, profound disappointment that was far worse. One of them finally spoke, his words echoing through the silent market. "The dead do not bless the living," he said solemnly. "Anyone who eats from forgotten graves is only eating borrowed time." That very same afternoon, as the drama at the market was unfolding, news spread like wildfire from another part of the town. Kano, the little orphan boy who had been sick for so long, had suddenly woken up. The strange fever was gone. The nightmares had vanished. He sat up in his bed and asked for food, just normal food. When the elders heard this, they exchanged knowing looks. They understood. The dark covenant was loosening its grip. The balance was being restored. That night, Mama Yemi had another dream. The river appeared again, dark and still, but this time the elders from the secret cult stood on its bank, waiting for her. Their leader's voice was not a whisper, but a clear command. "Come back," he said. "We will seal the pact properly this time." In her dream, Mama Yemi looked down at her own hands. For the first time, she saw them for what they were, tired, worn, and stained. She looked back at the figures by the river and found a strength she did and know she had. "Take what you gave me," she replied, her voice steady, "and leave what you didn't." The moment she spoke, the river went completely still. The figures vanished, and in that silence, Mama Yemi finally understood a fundamental truth. There is always a price for freedom. The next morning, Mama Yemi's stall was empty. She didn't come to the market. Her pots, her benches, everything was gone. The giant, immovable pot had vanished as well. Whispers started to fly. Some said she had packed her things and returned to her home village in shame. Others swore they saw a figure walking towards the river at dawn. The elders, however, said nothing at all. They simply gathered herbs and sacred oils and began the long, slow process of cleansing the market square. In the weeks and months that followed, life in Idera slowly returned to a new kind of normal. People started cooking at home more often. When they did buy food outside, they asked questions. Where did the ingredients come from? Where was the water drawn? They became careful, mindful of what entered their bodies. The little orphan boy, Kanal, was officially taken in by the community elders, who raised him as their own. and in a final, chilling postscript to the whole affair, the small, murky river behind the mortuary dried up completely, leaving behind nothing but a cracked, barren scar on the land. To this day, the story of Mama Yemi serves as a warning passed down through the generations. The elders put it this way: not all cheap food is a blessing, not all profit is clean, and when wealth answers your call too quickly, you must always ask who it was that picked up the phone. Even now, in Idera Market, if a pot of soup smells a little too sweet, a little too tempting, someone will inevitably whisper, "Remember Mama Yemi," and nobody ever laughs. Thank you for watching part 3 and 4 following this journey. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the crossroads of tradition and mystery. Until next time, leave your comments below and stay curious and stay safe.